Okay. I don't know what was going on there, but we're live. All right, what is going on, Jaguars fans? Welcome back to the Fan Cave. This is another awesome live stream. I really enjoyed doing the last one, recapping week one of the preseason. And this is just, I had so much fun doing the recap of week one. I wanted to start doing a preview video as well. And so that's what this one's going to be as well. It's just going to be a preview of week two of the preseason, going to the New Orleans Saints, doing battle in the new Caesar Superdome. They just rebranded it, so it's going to be an awesome experience to get to see them play and in the New Orleans Superdome. And I wanted to start this off, and I wanted to pose the question to all of you. It's almost like a question to the stream, if you will. And for me, the question is, who are you most excited to see play in week two of the preseason? There was a couple players that didn't play. There was a couple players that did play that maybe we shouldn't have seen play. For starters, DJ Chark. DJ Chark is someone that I've made a video talking about how he could potentially be the biggest regression from in 2021. But at the same time, is that a possibility that he takes that massive step forward? We don't know. We've seen him have good success pairing up with Laviska Shenault and Trevor Lawrence pairing up with Laviska Shenault, Marvin Jones. Tavon Austin is having incredible success in the preseason. So how does DJ Chark find himself in that rotation and that lineup? Where is he at? Viska has the opportunity to push for the number two, possibly even the number one wide receiver spot. But at the end of the day, where does DJ Chark fit in the depth chart? This game is going to answer a lot of those questions, in my opinion. Ultimately, whenever you talk about the wide receiver room, because it is very top heavy and then it is also very bottom heavy. You want to talk about the top, what is it, three? Excuse me. Wide receivers that are in the depth chart. You have Marvin Jones, Laviska Shenault, and DJ Chark. That's the top three. And then you want to go to the bottom half where you have Colin Johnson, Laquan Treadwell, and Tavon Austin. That's, for having a six wide receiver tandem, as well as they've played in training camp and then as well last week in week one of the preseason. Dare I say it's one of the best wide receiver rooms in the NFL, because you have a bunch of, like I said in the last stream, if you have a bunch of number twos and threes, I'd much rather have that than a three, and then a number one wide receiver, and then a bunch of C's and D's. I'd much rather have a bunch of B plus and then a C plus player. Here, Colin Johnson be the C plus player. He'd be the worst wide receiver on the field, because just like Keelan Cole, they're going to go, if they leave this squad, they're going to become the number two wide receiver on what almost any other squad in the league. You look at like the Browns, where they have Jarvis Landry and Odell Beckham. Outside of a squad like that has perennial Pro Bowlers on it, Colin Johnson can be the big wide receiver. And so that's really what the question I wanted to ask to all of you was who is the Jaguar player that you want to see play the most in this game? Because you've got Walker Little, who in my opinion deserves snaps with the ones, as well as they've talked about him in training camp. I believe that, hey, the offensive line is looking really banged up. You've got Andrew Norwell, who probably won't be playing. I believe the last report I saw was that he came out to practice with a brace on his leg. Brandon Linder potentially won't be playing as well. AJ Cann has the weird COVID test issue going on. They really don't know haven't really come out and said what the issue is. All it's said was that it was a COVID related issue, and that AJ Cann is vaccinated, so they don't know if it's a COVID actual legitimate positive, if it was an inconclusive test. That's up in the air right now. So that's what I wanted to ask you guys is, who was the Jaguar player you were most excited to see, whether it be DJ Chark playing in his first official game with Trevor Lawrence. We've been seeing a lot of videos of DJ and Trevor working together in the offseason, whether it be at Clemson, whether it be at Bishop Kenny across the river from the stadium, whether it be whoever, personally, in my opinion, I want to see Dylan Moses play in this game. I've seen a lot of Jaguar YouTube creators come out with a video saying that Dylan Moses is by far the biggest steal that the Jaguars had out, and that we're talking about a draft that had Walker Little and Andre Sisco, who were looking like, if you ended their season right now and you projected them out, they're possible Hall of Famers. They've been playing, and if the lore lives up to that, that's where we're at with it. And so Dylan Moses is a guy that I'm very, very excited to see. He must have just fallen through the cracks, and because with how much hype they had around him in 2019 and 2020 prior to the whole COVID situation going on, wrecking seasons, and his injury as well. I believe he also had a knee injury that he was talked about just as highly as Walker Little was, where he was going to be a top end of the first round draft pick. How the Jaguars ended up with three people, possibly even four with Travis Etienne, that they said belong in the first round with Lawrence, Little, Moses, and Etienne possibly. That blows my mind. So that's what I want to ask you guys, the Jaguars fans. Who is the player that you were most excited to see? Now, like I said, the offensive line, they're probably going to have a lot of backups playing. You're going to see Tyler Shatley probably get snaps with the ones. You're probably going to see Ben Barch play in one of the guard spots. It's going to be a very weird looking offensive line compared to what we've seen in past with Robinson, Norwell, Linder, Can, and Taylor. It's going to be a very hodgepodge of, potentially Cam, maybe Little, Barch, Shatley. I'm not even sure who the right guard could possibly be if Can doesn't play, and then maybe Little, maybe Taylor. We don't know. It's going to be a very weird looking starting five on the offensive line, and for week 2 of the preseason in New Orleans. Now, my next point I want to bring up is: does Trevor Lawrence play behind that offensive line? Do we want Trevor Lawrence playing behind a bunch of backups? Tyler Shatley has been the perennial number 6 lineman on this team. If Andrew Norwell went down, Tyler Shatley. If Cam Robinson needed to come out for a play, Tyler Shatley. He's obviously playing in lieu of Brandon Linder playing, and you have your best offensive lineman play center. So why wouldn't you see? So obviously that shows that Tyler Shatley is still the number 6 offensive lineman on the team. So do we really want Trevor Lawrence playing behind a hodgepodge offensive line? That's a very hard question for me, because last week I was very adamant that I wanted him to take very little snaps, especially after that first sack. That was oh my goodness, the heart attack I had from when I saw him get sacked was very, very nerve-wracking. So if that sack created that kind of just the raise in my blood pressure from that, what is it going to be like whenever I see Tyler Shatley, Ben Barch, and just the ragtag bunch blocking for Trevor Lawrence in New Orleans? If Cameron Jordan plays, that makes me even more nervous, because I don't want an elite pass rusher in this league just using and abusing the 7th man on the depth chart in Ben Barch, if that's where they go with that, let alone the 8th person that I'm not even sure who it is. And so that makes me very, very nervous. But Patrick Jackson, welcome into the chat. Thank you very much for your comments. I love seeing you in here, man. So you say, I want to see a big game from Colin Johnson, because I like him, and with Tavon Austin and Laquan Treadwell showing really well, I worry his roster spot is under threat. Now, I think this is a really weird opportunity for the Jaguars to carry 7 wide receivers in. You got Visca, Jones, Chark, top 3, blanket. Then you have Johnson, Treadwell, Austin, make 6, and then Agnew is going to be your returner. That's what they brought him in for. So, man, if they carry 7, if they carry 6, that final spot is going to definitely come down to Johnson, Treadwell, and Austin, because Austin's shown the determination to want to be the elite wide receiver that he was drafted to be by the Rams way, way, way back when. And he seemed to find a good home in an Urban Meyer-led offense. You also say Taven Bryan is the guy who most needs a good game, because he's been an absolute no-show so far this season. I'm not even sure he played. I'm honestly not even positive that Taven Bryan saw the field last week. I don't remember seeing him, but at the same time, I was also as the game went into the fourth quarter, I wasn't super intently watching. I was just kind of just staring at it and hoping to see a big play come from someone at the bottom of the depth chart. And this season by far is Taven's make it or break it season. I believe they've already declined his 5th-year option. I may be wrong on that, but they have. This is Taven's make it or break it year, because if this defensive line continues to be what it was in week 1 with stuffing the run, and obviously Taven has never shown that he can be a pass rusher in any sense of the phrase. So if Taven offers nothing in the run game where he's being blocked by air, he's turned around, he doesn't know where the ball is. If that's going on, uh, he's definitely not going to be someone on the team that offers anything of substance. So I mean, but at the same time, I don't want it to be the Josh Oliver effect. We don't want him on the team when he's on the team, and then shortly thereafter, Jaguars Twitter decides that no, maybe maybe it was a bad idea to let Taven Bryan go. He wasn't doing anything in a Jaguars jersey, but hey, we should have let him play a little bit more, see what he had, and so that's what I become nervous about. Is I don't want it to be the Josh Oliver effect, because I just think that whole situation is wacky, and good for him. I hope he makes the roster spot, and I hope he's the 53rd person on the Ravens roster. That way we get that 7th pick. We didn't give him up for nothing. But you also say, in terms of who I most want to see play, it's probably Walker Little of offense and Andre Cisco on defense. Couldn't agree anymore, man. Andre Cisco, if you want to talk about a safety that has shown out in last week, Andre Cisco was that guy. Whenever you watch the defense, it was constantly Andre Cisco's name being called, whether he was flying down at the line, breaking up one of the short little passes, and then he was also deep in coverage. He was a ball hawking safety at Syracuse. That was one of his massive attributes coming out of Syracuse into the draft, was that he was a ball hawking safety, but he also had that thump to him. You want to talk about someone that has like the ball handling skills of a corner, and then also has the thumping ability of a Donovan Darius. That is what the Jaguars have, in my opinion, in that secondary. And Andre Cisco is absolutely taking snaps with the ones later in the day for the Jaguars against the Saints. I really hope the Saints play their ones. Ultimately, I know that whether it's going to be Jameis or Taysom Hill, that's going to be up in the air. But I would love to see Alvin Kamara go up against this Jaguars front 7 and even overall 11, just to see what they have. Because Miles Jack is obviously a flyer. He can fly around the entire field, make plays. What does Damian Wilson offer in that front 7 as well? That's going to be a good look at him, because obviously Cleveland didn't play Kareem Hunter, Nick Chubb. So what are we going to get from Damian Wilson and Miles Jack as essentially the two linebackers that are going to be really essentially the two run stopping linebackers that we have, with Kayvon Chason and Josh Allen being the two pass rushing linebackers we have in this 3-4. Oh, Kid Get Money, welcome in, man. Thank you for the comment. You say, I agree with everything, Patrick, but we can just let Taven go. Whew. If we're talking about 53-man roster cuts, it's going to be hard for me to say I don't mind Taven leaving. It's going to I wouldn't mind it at all if it comes out that saying, I think it would affect me more that Tebow got cut than Taven would. And it doesn't bother me at all that Tebow got cut. And I think that it's just going to be another one of those cuts where it's, okay, he wasn't good enough, whatever. Because ultimately, once we get closer to the end of week 3 and we earn that kind of like a dead week in between week 3 and week 1, they're probably going to come out with their 53-man roster. I'm obviously going to review that, do a great in-depth dive of that 53, but I also want to probably do, I believe it's a 65 to 53, that cut. I want to definitely do a deep dive into who I believe belongs on the team, whether they do carry 7 wide receivers, whether they carry 3, how many quarterbacks do they carry in, how many linemen do they carry, how many safeties, all of that. So be on the lookout for that for sure. Man, Taven can't get right, Brian. At the end of the day, that's the nickname that stuck with me. That's the nickname that is just every time I hear his name get said, that's the nickname that is there. And Patrick Jackson, oh man, you're on fire with comments. Thank you very much. 4 viewers, wow. Everyone that's in here right now, I have a question to the stream going right now. Who are you most excited to see play in this next preseason game? I went with DJ Chark personally, just because it's going to be his first game officially playing with Trevor Lawrence. Hopefully hopefully Trevor doesn't get too banged up playing behind the ragtag offensive line that there's going to be. But I would love to hear your opinion on who you think is going to be, who you want to see most play, whether it be Andre Cisco playing with the ones at safety, whether it be Walker Little playing in lieu of Cam Robinson. I would love to hear your takes, as this is a community show, and as always, I love to communicate with you guys. Patrick Jackson, Josh Oliver had a drop and a fumble for the Ravens this weekend. We're not missing out on too much. Exactly. I believe the guy played 4 games in 2 years in a Jaguars jersey, and people are upset that we didn't give him a chance to potentially right the wrongs that he had. I would listen to the argument that he didn't have the sports fitness and sports health facilities that Urban brought with him, because I've heard nothing but great things from every interview I've heard with players saying they've loved the sports science program that Urban has brought to the team, and ultimately that he's revolutionized because compared to what Doug and I've also had a one-on-one conversation with a player. I'll leave it anonymous for him, but he said it's a night and day difference between the culture that is in the locker room from Doug to Urban, and also the sports science and the sports health center that he has created for everyone on the team. And that it's whether you're Trevor Lawrence or you're the 90th man on the roster, you're getting the top of the line sports health and recovery for you. And so maybe if Josh Oliver had that, maybe the injuries wouldn't happen. But at the end of the day, I have a hard time believing that ship could get righted, because he honestly, I was happy to see him go. He was taking up an active spot. It was unnecessary, and so I hope he has great success in the NFL. I hope he makes the 53. That way, the Jaguars get that 7th round pick, and then the Ravens can deal with what Josh Oliver has been for the Jaguars, where he's a 4 games in 2 years tight end. He is somebody that's not going to ever do anything productive for you, and he's just going to be that. He's going to be the same way that Austin Seferian-Jenkins was for the Jaguars. He's probably going to be even less for that. He is such a bottom dweller tight end for the Jaguars. In 5-10 years, he's going to be relegated as one of the worst draft picks in the top 3 rounds of Jaguars history. But another player I'm very, very excited to see play is Travis Etienne. Travis didn't get a whole lot of looks going into week 1. A lot of his playing time, I believe, came with Gardner Minshew in the second quarter, and there was that big that kind of just flat route that Minshew just sailed it clear over his head, and he had 25 yards of green grass in front of him. Unfortunately, did not make the connection to let us see what Travis Etienne did so well while he was at Clemson. He is an explosive, big play, yards after catch, yards after contact receiver, and man, I would have loved to see Travis Etienne just run wild in some open space. Unfortunately, we didn't see that. I would love to see one of the first plays that comes out of the huddle, first series, a little, just wheel route. Travis Etienne, 15, 20 yards. Let Trevor sail it. Let Travis get underneath it. Man, I would love to see what Travis Etienne does in open space with the ball in his hands. I don't want to see him do a little in between the guard and the tackle. I don't want to see that. That's not what I'm looking for. I want to see just like I want to see Visca in open space, I want to see Etienne in open space. I would love to see some work between the both of them, getting them into space, getting them touches. Because there was I remember in the last game I was watching, and I saw Josh Hammond almost getting forced touches from I believe it was C.J. Beathard, might have been Luton. It was late in the game, and it was just, in my opinion, it was not. I would have much rather see the forced touches go to somebody like Etienne or Tavon Austin or Laquan Treadwell, someone that has a legitimate shot at making the team and can actually legitimately excite a fan base. Because with Etienne, Treadwell, Austin, those are players that have a shot. Josh Hammond, great dude. I'm hoping he finds himself a nice little spot on the practice squad. What I saw out of him looked good, but he's not going to. The wide receiver room is too top heavy for them to actually consider keeping Josh Hammond on the team. So I'd love to see the forced targets go, like I said, Visca, ETN, players of that ilk that are known for making big plays in open space. Man, Jersey Jaguar, what's going on, man? Hey, if you haven't watched it already, Jersey Jaguar and I just did a great little just chatting video for about 30 minutes. It's on my channel. I'd love for you to go check it out as well. Be sure to check out Jersey Jaguar's channel as well. He does a lot of great content. He's posting more frequently than I am. Man's pumping out like 2 to 3 videos a week. He is a machine. So be sure to check out Jersey Jaguar's channel. Subscribe to him. He punts out a lot of great content. Hey, Patrick Jackson, supporting the homie. Appreciate it, man. And so, also, Pat, do you reckon that Minshew could drop back behind Beathard if they both perform like they did against the Browns? Beathard looked looked more comfortable against the Browns to me. I can absolutely. You hit me with the hard questions here, Patrick. I don't. You talk about C.J. Beathard. He's that perennial journeyman. I believe Gardner Minshew is going to have that same kind of career where he's just the journeyman. He's going to bounce around from teams. And whenever he signs with a team, it's going to be, oh my gosh, we got the Mississippi mustache. Man, he was like Minshew mania. Can we reignite Minshew mania? He's going to bounce around from team to team once he leaves Jacksonville. Whenever that is, I don't know. But I believe we saw what he was in 2020. He's a quarterback that can't stay in the pocket. He's a quarterback that he's incredibly accurate short. But he's still, at the end of the day, he's not a franchise quarterback. We saw that because if you put Trevor Lawrence on that 2020 team, we win 5 games. We win 6 games. That game against the Packers last year, there's a real possibility we win that game. With Gardner Minshew, I believe Gardner Minshew was the starting quarterback. Might have been Glennon, one of the 15 different quarterbacks we had playing for us last year. But if we had a quarterback of Trevor Lawrence's capabilities and promise and talent, there's more games we're in contention to win, and we're actually pushing for a win rather than just kind of watching our favorite team just get mud stomped like what was the 2020 season last year, and we were literally cheering for the Bears at home. I hope that never happens again. That was such a sad sight to see that it was necessary, and we were hoping for the Bears to beat the Jaguars, just to continue the path to get Trevor Lawrence. Ultimately, I'm glad it happened. I wouldn't trade anything that's happened so far in the 7 years of the Jaguars' existence. It's all made us who we are as Jaguars fans. We've been through the heartache and turmoil to get to this moment where we have one of the greatest college quarterbacks of all time with the most promise. He's been heralded to the like of, okay, yeah, he was Luton. Yeah, he did run into that. Okay, yep, absolutely. But still, my point stands. If Lawrence is wielding the offense in that game, that's a great game. In that game, probably, who knows? Maybe the Packers were taking us lightly. I don't know. But man, if Lawrence is on that 2020 team, we're back picking where Patrick Surtain was picked. We're picking 10th, 12th in the draft, what have you. But at the same time, oh yeah, and rooting for the team is just a sad thing to see. Where I remember UCF Jaguar does the live streams, and he even said it got to a point where he didn't want to watch it. He didn't want to even do the live streams because what's the point of live streaming cheering for your team losing? What a wild concept that I hope I never have to do again. But another thing I'm excited to see is I want to see C.J. Beathard and Jake Luton play very, very minimal in this game. I want to see Trevor Lawrence. I want to see the Jaguars treat this game as almost the dress rehearsal. I am dancing on both sides of that fence where you catch me halfway through my point, and I want Trevor not to play at all behind Bart, Shatley, and no name at right guard if Can doesn't play, and then the other half is me. The other half of me says I want him to play. I want him to get the reps with Marvin Jones, Visca, Chark, ETN, Robinson. I want him to get those live reps with them so it becomes more comfortable. I want them to treat this game as the dress rehearsal for Week 1 in Houston, and then let them play very, very little in Week 3 against Dallas. I want that at the same time. But at the end of the day, I do know that I don't want C.J. Beathard or Jake Luton playing a lot in this game. I want to see if it's not Lawrence playing, I want it to be Minshew. You know, because at the end of the day, Beathard is a good possibility this team does not carry three quarterbacks into week one. And they're certainly not keeping Jake Luton. At best, they're going to stash him on the practice squad and hope that he becomes a great developmental quarterback with that rocket of an arm he has. Again, man, if the guy's got one thing going for him, he could throw a ball through a brick wall if he needed to. And so hopefully they can stash him on the practice squad, hide him. But CJ Beathard is not going to make the team. And there's no point in him playing. In all reality, there's not. What good does CJ Beathard offer the Jaguars by playing in a dress rehearsal style game? You know, last year it was, or in previous years, it was the third preseason game that was treated as the dress rehearsal. Obviously, they took one away. I believe the second week should be used as the dress rehearsal. And at the end of the day, they're not going to make the team. So why should they be getting snaps at all when, you know, I don't care about them getting a spot on another team. I don't. I care about the Jacksonville Jaguars and what is going to make them the most productive 53-man roster they can possibly be. And Gardner Minshew, whether he's on the team or not, at this point, he's going to be on the team, in my opinion. There's nothing that's going to take away from Gardner Minshew literally being the backup for this team. Unless something crazy happens and, you know, Carson Wentz in Indianapolis gets hurt. Oh, man, I don't even... Because there's really quarterback battles going on all around the league with Teddy Bridgewater, Drew Lock in Denver. You've got Fields and Dalton going at it in Chicago. A bunch of different quarterback battles that aren't revolving around Gardner Minshew at all. They're not a part of the conversation. And that conversation would have been had back in OTAs, not now. And I think it's blasphemy that they're even saying that. I don't know who Urban Meyer is tricking into thinking that that anyone believes him with the quarterback competition in Jacksonville. It's not a thing. It's not happening. But we have 7 viewers in the show right now. What is going on, everyone? Hey, we've got a question to the stream going on right now. Who are you most excited to see play this week for the Jaguars? For me, it's DJ Chark. It's going to be his first game of the preseason. You can make the argument for Walker Little, being that we need to see what he looks like playing with the ones in live snaps. Could be Andre Sisco. He had such a good game coming out of week 1 against Cleveland. And, hey, I'll listen to the argument that C.J. Henderson, C.J. Henderson had very high highs and he had very, very low lows. I believe he only played 6 to 8 games last year because of a nagging groin injury. And what we saw last week was promising. It was a player that is deserving of being, one of the he was deserving of being a top 10 draft pick in 2020. And it's just, man, there's a lot of good players that are coming out and they're really shining, whether they be a rookie or they're being someone that's developing. And because, Cam Robinson, if he develops and becomes that franchise level player that the Jaguars are paying to be a franchise level player, wonderful. Does Jawan Taylor come out of a sophomore slump that I believe he had? I heard Leon Searcy say he didn't play bad for a rookie as a left tackle in his rookie year. He did regress. I believe he allowed 8 sacks last year. Now, I don't know how much of that had to do with Minshew not being able to stay in the pocket and Glennon and Luton just being not good quarterbacks, holding on to the ball for too long, what have you. And who knows with that. So maybe with a competent quarterback, a quarterback that's an elite level, people have compared him to John Elway, Peyton Manning, players of that nature. What does Jawan Taylor look like with those players being added to the that caliber of player being added to the roster? Now, man, yeah, Jersey Jaguar. I am excited to see what the secondary does again tonight, especially Henderson. Man, you want to talk about like the tables have flipped for this Jacksonville Jaguars defense. Last year they couldn't stop a run at all. Now they're like god level run stuffers. Nothing got through them. Granted, it was second string linemen, second string running backs, and that was just. But man, nothing got by them. I believe 98, or no, I believe it was like 28 rushing yards, something super low. And then that secondary, they were. For not having a pass rush, I believe they played very, very well. C.J. Henderson, Shaquille Griffin, Tyson Campbell. Outside of having that one play in the end zone, that was, we got to get that worked out. I believe that's a problem he also had while he was at Georgia, but that was a heck of a performance from a rookie in his first game in a Jaguars jersey. Patrick Jackson. Henderson played much better than I expected versus the Browns. Hope that trend continues. Me too, man. Me too. Imagine paying Nick Foles $6 million to be your third choice quarterback. LMAO. I know, man. I don't know what Dave Caldwell had. Like, I don't know who he knew in every organization that allowed us to just trade everyone, and especially with the Nick Foles trade. We have this monster contract for him, and then he just up and trades him. He's just like, all right, we don't need him anymore. We don't. I'm not stressing him. Here, I believe what the Bears gave us a 4th-round pick for Nick Foles, and now look at him. He's not even involved in the quarterback competition in Chicago. So how about that? Finessed the hell out of the Chicago Bears for that 4th-round pick. Now, I'm really another set of players I'm really hoping to see play tonight is the linebackers. We've already kind of talked about Dylan Moses, how he had first-round capabilities while he was at Alabama. He was being mocked as a mid to early first-round draft pick, much to the like of Walker Little was prior to a knee injury. And then after the knee injury, he just kind of, I want to say he almost didn't play while he was at Alabama, rehabbing the knee, and comes into the NFL draft, gets undrafted, comes to Jacksonville, and let's hope that he has that same kind of Walker Little bounce back where he really shows why he was projected to be an early to mid first round draft pick. Shaquille Quarterman. I've heard the Jaguars brass and coaches talk about how good or how well he has played in preseason, or excuse me, in training camp. He's had an incredible training camp, as well as Quincy Williams, the linebacking core. I don't know if it's just coach speak hyping up the players, but a kid get money. Me too, man. Hometown kid from Oakleaf. That'd be what's up. See Shaq Quarterman running around making plays as a Jacksonville Jaguar. And just overall, that linebacking room would be light years better if Damian Wilson becomes who he was in Kansas City. Miles Jack, we know he's good. And then for the depth of Shaq Quarterman, Dylan Moses, Quincy Williams, and then you talk about the pass rush. That's where the things get hairy for the Jaguars linebacker, especially on the outside, because you have Josh Allen, who had really, really good rookie numbers with Unique Ngakoue and Calais Campbell. Take those two players away, Josh Allen becomes the number one target for opposing offensive lines. Now you don't have and I believe he had 2 sacks, and one of them was a pity sack against Ryan Fitzpatrick last year. So what does Josh Allen look like? I don't believe that there's any Jaguars outside linebacker that you can say is a legitimate pass rushing threat. Josh Allen has the potential to be. Kayvon Chason has the potential to be. Actually, Jersey Jaguar thought Chason has showed decent pass rush moves last week rather. Very curious to see if that progresses tonight. I couldn't have said it better, man. That Kayvon Chason is someone that we're talking like Taven Bryan level bust if Kayvon Chason does not perform this year. With how much they heavily invested into the run or into the defensive line, if Kayvon Chason does not show anything of prominence for this Jacksonville Jaguars front seven, man, you're entering big bust territory. But he is in a different position. He's not hand in the dirt. One of the front four. He's now back there as a linebacker. He's standing up. He has more range. He has more mobility. He's allowed to use his speed because he is a small guy. You can tell that right off the bat. Whenever you look at him, you can just tell that he's a very, very small person compared to the rest of them. Obviously, if he stood next to me, he'd look like a mountain. I'm not trying to say that he's walking through Walmart and he looks like the geriatric AARP member. That's not what I'm getting at all. But he does play. He is small on the field. So hopefully, while he has the ability to move around a little bit more, use his speed, I'd love to see him develop that. Patrick Jackson, And we all know how much Trent Baalke loves a player with knee injury concerns. Oh, wasn't he also the GM for San Francisco whenever the what was his name, the running back from South Carolina, who was like, he was in the Heisman running, and then he had that, I believe it was Marcus Lattimore. I believe he was also there whenever whenever he was the GM from San Francisco as well. And so yeah, man, Gene Smith loved good character guys. Trent Baalke loves knee injuries. I don't know which one's worse. I'm gonna get, man. You just added a totally new level to my mind of just what Trent Baalke is. Oh man, Quarterman seems like a good dude. Hope it goes well for him. Hey, at the end of the day, I want all Jacksonville If you've ever played in a Jaguars uniform, I want you to have success in the league. If you go to the Titans, no. I hope your career dies. If you agree to go to the Titans, hope your career dies. Bye. Every single one of them on that team. Bye. Hey, Jaguars United. Welcome into the stream, man. Jaguars live stream and legend right there. He's got some awesome film breakdowns. So be sure to go check him out on his channel. He's constantly doing film breakdowns. He's going to have a bunch of stuff, I can guarantee you, after this week 2 preseason game. So be sure to go check him out. Enter their community. He's got an awesome community. Appreciate you stopping in. And Duval, hey, I appreciate you dropping in. Absolutely, Patrick Jackson, absolutely. So we talked about just how much we want to see out of the number one secondary. We want to see Andre Cisco play with them. I wouldn't be opposed to seeing Tyson Campbell split number 1 reps with C.J. Henderson. I wouldn't. You talk about how the wide receivers it's a battle for the number 1 through number 3 spot. You could make the argument that it's the same for the corners. You've got Shaquille Griffin, C.J. Henderson, and Tyson Campbell. I would absolutely listen to an argument that the money doesn't make the position. If just how they paid, the opposite of how they paid Nick Foles for the respect level of a starting quarterback, get the hell out of here with that. And so you could absolutely convince me that it is an open competition between the top 3 for the starting 2. And you could put, at the end of the day, they're going to play nickel a bunch out of the year. So all 3 of them will be on the field. But I wouldn't be opposed to seeing what Tyson Campbell does against the number 1 wide receiver, the number 2 wide receiver that the Saints have to offer. I'd love to see how they play against them. It's the preseason. It doesn't matter. Like, let's see what we have as a secondary. We've got Cisco, who has been showing lights out. Tyson Campbell showed the promise to be a very good corner. C.J. Henderson, I want to see him take that next step. Shaquille Griffin, he kind of stumbled a little bit, I want to say, in week 1 of the preseason. And then I want to round it all off with with special teams. Special teams was something that really, really hindered the Jaguars last week against Cleveland. I believe it was a really big punt return or kick return, and it just got taken back over a silly holding call that was like really not even it didn't affect the play at all. And so I want to see those little penalties get cleared up. There was 2 good returns, I want to say, actually, that were called back due to special teams penalties. Josh Lambo had a miss. I'd love to see him get that cleared up, become Mr. Automatic that we know and love in Jacksonville, because I believe it was like a 30-yard field goal that he missed. So I would absolutely love to see I'd love to see Josh Lambo solidify himself once again as one of the best kickers in the league, because at the end of the day, I have no problem dying on that mountain that Josh Lambo is one of the best kickers in the National Football League. I would absolutely put him up there with Butker, with the Ravens. What is his name? Justin Tucker. I put him up in that upper echelon, elite level kicker in the National Football League. So I'd love to see him become Mr. Automatic once again. And Patrick Jackson, to my mind, what Trent Baalke is a liability, but I'm hoping I am wrong for our sake. At the end of the day, Trent Baalke's there as an advisor. This is Urban's football team. They tried the whole GM head coach thing twice. They tried it with Gus and Dave. They tried it with Doug and Dave. It didn't work either time. So I believe what Shaw did was he went out and said, okay, I want one king of this franchise. I want like this. The team is a dictatorship, and I absolutely believe the team is 100% a dictatorship. What Urban wants, Urban gets. He's bullying a billionaire into building him a sports performance facility. He's building him. Shad's building him all of these things just to have him be the head coach. So I definitely believe that Trent is just there as an advisor, and that it's Urban calling all of the shots. And I believe that is why he went so heavy into sports performance, and that is also why he went into kind of like injury prone or possible liability players. Like you look at Walker Little, Dylan Moses, players of that have the knee injuries. Tyson Campbell, I believe he also had an injury that caused him to fall a little bit in the draft. And so it's a good time to experiment with corners because Saints are weak at wide receiver. Yeah, honestly, I don't believe is Ted Ginn still on the Saints? I don't believe Michael Thomas is going to be playing. It's ultimately, I have no idea. Let me do a quick little Google search here on the Google machine, see if Michael Thomas is going to be playing. I don't know if he is. I don't believe he will be. But at the same time, let's see. Oh, man. All right. Quick Twitter search didn't pop up anything. So if he plays, I'd love to see all three of them get time working against Michael Thomas. I believe that'll offer a lot for the corners, show us really what we have, and see if a Michael Thomas for C.J. Henderson trade would have even been worth it. I would love to see C.J. absolutely dominate Michael Thomas as well as Shaquille and Tyson Campbell. I believe all three of them can have the opportunity to have a really, really good showing against the Saints secondary that is going to look really poor, or excuse me, the wide receiving core is going to look really poor, whether you have Jameis Winston or Taysom Hill playing. And I don't even know if they are. I believe that might still be an active quarterback battle as well. But, so, sorry, Jaguars United. I don't know if Michael Thomas is playing. I'm sure that'll come out later, right? Probably like a couple hours before kickoff, as it always does, with the inactives and actives. And still out. Okay, so still out. Traquan Smith. Is there who? Who? I don't know who that is. But I'm gonna round it off here. I'm gonna give my keys to victory here. It's a preseason game, but at the end of the day, we all like seeing Jaguars wins. And so absolutely one of the biggest things they have to do is they have to score early. That's something the Jaguars haven't done in a very long time. And I believe that if Trevor comes out lightning quick, is hitting ETN on those small little flat routes on the wheel routes, J-Rob's pounding it up the middle. Excuse me. And then he's also finding Visca, Jones, Austin, Chark. I'm hoping Chark has a very, very big first series. I'm hoping they go to him a couple times to really see what he has, see what he's done in the offseason, see what his connection's like with Trevor. So absolutely, they need to be quick on the offense. And so they absolutely need to be lightning quick on offense, really go up tempo, push the ball down the field, and let Trevor put some air under it. I want to see him also get that problem of holding the ball for too long. I want to see him get that cleared up. And at the end of the day, I believe that he can absolutely just 1, 2, 3 second read, boom, out of there. I would love to see that. Now to the defensive side of the ball, we need a pass rush. In order to win, we need a pass rush. You're not going to win in this league if you have an abysmal pass rush. You can have a good run-stuffing defense. That's great. But if the quarterback can stand back there for 3 to 4 seconds, play after play after play, and look at who they want to throw it to, you're not going to have success against any offense. You could pick the worst offense in the league. If you can't get after the quarterback, you're not going to have success against them. They're going to drive up and down the field, and because corners can only block for so long. That's the bigger issue. It's not the fact that, the pass rush can't get to them. It's that the corners can only cover for so long because there's more field than there is that they can cover. And so at the end of the day, they will get open. And if you can't get after the quarterback, that's going to be a nightmare all game long. And finally, for the special teams, clean up the penalties. That was something that hounded the Jaguars last time in week 1 against the Browns. Like I said, several runbacks were called back. because of silly special teams penalties. And so I would absolutely love to see the Jaguars clean up the special teams penalties, really get after the Taysom Hill or Jameis Winston, whoever it is. And then I would also love to see Trevor aggressively pushing the ball down the field to Chark, Visca, Jones, Austin, Treadwell, Johnson, whoever it is. I would love to see some big plays. I want, because every other rookie quarterback has had highlight plays. They've had one with Marvin Jones. I want to see a massive run after catch. I want to see a huge play. I want to see Trevor throw him open. I want to make SportsCenter, and I want to dominate Good Morning Football. I want to see Trevor's face every 5 seconds on Good Morning Football. I'm a Trevor Lawrence stan. I can consume more Trevor Lawrence content than you can ever want. I literally had my wife paint a Trevor Lawrence painting for me because I am just infatuated with the fact that Jaguars have a new, exciting, fresh quarterback to ignite the fan base, to ignite the city, and really reinvigorate Jacksonville Jaguars fandoms as a whole. Speaking of Jaguars fandoms, this is an awesome community here at the Fan Cave. I love doing these live streams. I'm definitely going to be doing more of them. I love interacting directly with you guys. I think it really builds an awesome community, getting even other content creators in here for the Jaguars. Jersey Jaguar, Jaguars United, thank you both for popping in here, saying what's up. Be sure to check out their channels as they put out awesome content. And, if you're not, like I said, if you're not subscribed to this channel, check it out, subscribe. I would love to have you as a part of the Fan Cave community. Earlier in the season, we did a Fred Taylor signed jersey giveaway. I'm looking for something awesome to give away, maybe mid-season. Really hype up the channel, get it going, and just hype up Jaguars fandom, because I have an awesome Fan Cave, and I'm wanting to help all of you grow yours. Whether it be a signed jersey, a signed football, something small, I want you to look at it. I want you to look at that one item and go, damn, I love this. I love this football team. Just something that builds that excitement. It could be a really crappy Wednesday. You get home from work and you see it and you go, damn, I get to see Trevor Lawrence play this weekend. I get to see the Jaguars play a meaningful football game. And so, that is what collecting memorabilia is about for me. That is what this channel is about for me, is sharing my excitement and my love for the Jacksonville Jaguars to all of you out there in the community. So like I said, be sure to check out Jersey Jaguar, Jaguars United, and also subscribe right here to the channel, as it helps it out immensely. If you don't mind, I would love for you to drop a like. Hey, go Jaguars. It's going to be an awesome game. And I look forward to seeing you all back for the post-game